Hey, this is Vasu Agrawal with student ID 1071066, and today I would like to present a presentation about the human rights. What are the human rights, for whom I'm gonna talk about today, and how these rights have been working and implicated, and how the government is protecting all the rights that deserved by all the human beings. And before going forward, I would like to tell you that all the posters and pictures I have used in this presentation are from real world protests, so that we can see the hustle from more closer. So, first of all, what is human right? Human rights are universal and apply to all human beings, regardless of gender, race, religion, or physical and mental disabilities. It is a fundamental belief that every person deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. And about the human, even though human rights are for every single person on earth, but today I would like to address a very vulnerable and a sensitive portion of the population, that is people with disabilities. And how, as I mentioned in this presentation, I will discuss the rights that are as same as for any other human and the laws that have been implicated to ensure the proper regulations of these rights. And even though having all these rights and law, people with disabilities still facing discrimination and injustice here. I will shed some light on those topics as well. So in this slide, as you can see, is the rights law and discrimination for the disabled people, and the lady holding the poster clearly saying, you can see me good, I'm not invisible. That means you can't ignore a person with disabilities, as they hold a huge population in this earth. So in this slide, I would like to talk about the rights for the disabilities, the legal frameworks that have been set, the treaties of protection, law, and policies. So, first of all, legal framework. So, Australia has established a legal framework to protect and promote rights of people with disability based on international human rights treaties, which I will explain further in the next slide. Along with this, there is a law, that is the Disability Discrimination Act 1992. This is the law for the disabled, which is also implicated by the Parliament of Australia to prohibit discrimination against people with disability in all sectors like education, employment, publicly available premises, etc. Well, in this slide, as you can see, all the all the legal frameworks to protect and promote human rights, as I have been go through some journals and articles, and so these all have been stated in a very good article by Mikko Show and Soldatic in 2011 as the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Person with disabilities, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the International Covenant on Economy, Social and Cultural Rights, the Convention on the Rights of the Child. So, moving forward, despite all the rules and regulation and the programs made, exist. Challenges still exist for the people with disabilities, and they are still continuing facing all the problems in the areas like accessibilities, transport facilities, social exclusion, and essential services. So, as you can see in this picture, the lady is holding a poster with injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, which is a very good quote written by Martin Luther King Jr., which is basically means even though we all are human beings are same, but the people with having physical problems and mental illnesses still facing a very marginal life and facing all the violation of human life. So means if even a single person on this earth is facing uh, problems with human rights, getting injustice, then it is injustice for everywhere. So that's why government put some consequences for failing to abide these laws. So, talking about consequences for failing to abide these law, who is ultimately responsible for ensuring human right violation didn't happen in human treaties. State bear the primary burden of responsibility for protecting and encouraging human rights. When a government refugees a treaty, they have a threefold obligation. They must respect, protect, and fulfill human rights. When violation occur, it's government job to intervene and prosecute those responsible. The government must hold everyone and itself accountable. Well, this doesn't mean the member of civil society don't also have a responsibility to prevent human rights violation. Businesses and institutions must comply with discrimination laws and promote equality, while every individual should respect the rights of other. Knowing this, uh, all the private sectors have their own consequences, but what if government itself violate the human rights? Well, for that, when government are violating human rights either directly or indirectly, civil society should hold them accountable and speak out. The international community also have an obligation to monitor government and their track record with human rights violation occur all the time, but they should always be called out. So, moving forward in next slide, uh, I would like you to present a very video I found on the internet. Here is a small video which talk about the proportion of the disabled people and how much more effort we have to make this equal for the world.
With a brief snapshot of people with disability in Australia. It demonstrates how far we have to go to ensure human rights and equality for people with disability. Data shows that 1 in 5 Australians have a disability, with this number increasing. The prevalence of disability in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities is 2 to 3 times higher than for the rest of the population.
As she mentioned, the people from the Aboriginal and Torres Islanders are the most vulnerable portion of the population, as even they are good as fine, they still facing lots of problem in this world. And thinking about the people with disability from that portion is way too out of thinking from us. They have been treating very bad, and government must have to do very good efforts for
45% of people with disability in Australia live in or near poverty, more than double the OECD average of 22%. The current employment rate of people with disability in Australia is low against the OECD average. People with disability in Australia are
So, moving forward, even though all these rights and laws, human people with disabilities still having the complexities to getting these rights properly, and these complexities are human right violation, freedom of expression and opinion, access to information, law and justice, inequality, freedom for violence and abuse, women with disabilities. Well, women with disability especially are the one which are in feel unsafe for their whole life. The sexual assault rate with the women with disability is really very high, and the way they're treating is very bad. And other than this, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people with disability, as I have been already told, and going forward, these are the references I have used in my verbal speech and in my slides. And that's it for today. Thank you for your time.